85 seconds. That's how close we are to the end of the world right now at this moment. Not a metaphor, not an exaggeration. But in January 2026, nuclear scientists, the same people who built the nuclear weapon the first time, set the Doomsday Clock at 85 seconds to midnight. Now, midnight means nuclear war, the end of civilization, humanity destroyed. And 85 seconds is the closest we've ever been in the clock's 79-year history. Now, closer than the Cuban Missile Crisis, closer than the Cold War, closer than any moment since humans invented nuclear weapons. So how did we get here? Who created this mess? Who created this nightmare? And why can't we just stop it? Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel everyone. If you're new here, I'm so glad you're joining us. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button and help us grow. For those of you who've been here before, you know the drill. Please get comfy, grab a snack, and let's dive into today's story. If you've never heard about the Doomsday Clock, now let me explain to you what is this. It's a symbol created in 1947 by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, founded back then by Oppenheimer, the man who built the atomic bomb. Now every year they gather, they meet, and they ask, how close is humanity to destroy itself? They look at how many nuclear weapons exist, whether countries are negotiating or just threatening each other, whether arms control agreements, because we do have control agreements, if they are working or just collapsing or just useless, and then, of course, new nuclear threats. Then they set the clock to midnight, the end nuclear apocalypse. So the closer to midnight we are, the more dangerous the world becomes. Example: 1991, the Cold War ends. 17 minutes to midnight, the safest we've been ever. 1953, US and Soviet Union testing hydrogen bombs. 2 minutes to midnight. 2026, which is right now, 85 seconds to midnight. And this is the most dangerous area for humanity ever. In January 27, 26, the scientists announced their decision. 85 seconds. Why?
It is now 85 seconds to midnight. This is the closest the world has ever been to midnight.
3 main reasons. The first main reason is the New START Treaty, the last arms control agreement between the US and Russia limiting nuclear weapons, expired on last February 5, 2026, and it was not replaced. For the first time in decades, there is no limit on how many nukes America and Russia can build.
The expiration of the New START Treaty marks a grave moment for international peace and security. For the first time in more than half a century, we face a world without any binding limits on the strategic nuclear arsenals of the Russian Federation and the United States of America.
And together they control 86% of the world's 12,321 nuclear weapons. The second main reason, in June 2025, the US and Israel bombed Iran's nuclear facilities. Over 400 grams of enriched uranium, enough to build several nuclear weapons, is now still missing at this moment. And nobody knows where it is. And for the third reason, Russia, China, and the US are all talking about putting nuclear weapons in space, orbiting above our heads. No defense, no warning. And here's the terrifying part of all of this. The scientists who set this clock, they're the one who built the bomb. They know exactly what it can do, and they're telling us we're running out of time. But to understand why we're here, we need to go back to where it all started. New Mexico, July 16, 1945. 5 a.m., 29 minutes. A steel tower stands 100 feet, fall in the middle of the desert. On the top of it, a steel globe, 13 pounds of plutonium inside. They call it the gadgets. Around it, 425 people, scientists, military officers, people who observe, and among them, Robert Oppenheimer, the man who designed all of it. and General Leslie Gross, the man who ordered to build it. They're about to test the world's first nuclear weapon. Why are they doing this? Because World War II is still raging. Hitler's Germany has already been defeated, but Japan is fighting on. The US government believed Germany was trying to build a nuclear bomb first. So in 1942, President Roosevelt launched the Manhattan Project, a top-secret program to build the bomb before anyone else could do it. And it cost $2 billion. It employed nearly 1% of the American workforce. Most of them had no idea what they were building. And now, after 3 years of work, they're about to find out if it's working. 5 a.m. 29. The countdown begins. Oppenheimer is terrified. Some scientists worried the bomb might ignite the atmosphere and destroy the entire planet. Others worried it wouldn't work at all. Oppenheimer had named the test Trinity, and the bomb detonated. The flash was so bright it could be seen 200 miles away. The heat was so intense it evaporated the 100-foot steel tower instantly. It melted the desert sand into radioactive green glass called trinities. The explosion equaled 21 tons of TNT, a fireball 2,000 feet wide, a mushroom cloud rising 4,000 feet into the sky, and Oppenheimer is watching. They're all watching. And I don't know if you can, well, today we know what it looks like when a bomb explodes, but I don't understand the seriousness of everything here. And those people are gathering. They created this toy and they are gathering, trying it, testing it, and watching. But he does remember a line from the Bhagavad Gita, an ancient Hindu text. Now I am become death, the destroyer of words. But here's what they didn't tell the public back then. Well, the only reason the Trinity test didn't kill 100,000 people was a shift in the wind. And how lucky they were. One wrong gust, and radioactive dust would have blanked the cities of Albuquerque and Santa Fe. They got very lucky. The wind blew the fallout toward sparsely populated areas instead, but people still got exposed, farmers, families, children. Manhattan Project's Dr. Louis Hampleman later admitted that a few people were probably overexposed, but they couldn't just prove it, and we wouldn't prove it, so we just assumed that, yeah, we got away with it. But they knew. They didn't care because 3 weeks later they were going to use it. August 6, 1945, Hiroshima, Japan. An American B-29 bomber called the Enola Gay drops Little Boy, a uranium bomb. But 140,000 people died, most of them civilians. August 9, 1945, Nagasaki, Japan. Another B-29 drops. Fat Man, a plutonium bomb like the one tested at Trinity. 70,000 more people died. World War II, and 6 days later. But something else begins, the nuclear age. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world should have stopped there. They should have said never again. Instead, it did the opposite. 1949, the Soviet Union tests its first nuclear bomb. The arms race begins. 1952, the US tests the first hydrogen bomb, 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. 1953, the Soviets built their own hydrogen bomb. 1960, France, China, and the UK joined the nuclear club. By the 1980s, the US and Soviet Union combined have 70,000 nuclear warheads, enough to destroy the whole world dozens of times over if they wanted to. But why so many? Why they do have to create so many weapons, these massive deadly weapons? Well, because of a strategy called mutually assured destruction, MAD. But the logic is, if you nuke us, we'll nuke you back. Nobody wins, so nobody's gonna lynch. It is insane, but yeah, it's kind of worked and it's still working until today. That's why we're still alive and we're still barely 85 seconds from the end of the world. But in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, American missiles in Turkey. For 13 days, the world held its breath. One mistake, miscommunication, and the nuclear war will have started. The Doomsday Clock moved to 7 minutes to midnight. But diplomacy won. The missiles were removed, the world survived, and slowly things got better. In 1991, the Cold War ends. The US and Soviet Union signed the START Treaty. Both sides agreed to reduce their nuclear arsenals. The Doomsday Clock moved to 17 minutes to midnight. The furthest from catastrophe it's ever been. And for the first time in a decade, the world felt kind of safe, but that didn't last. Because fast forward to today, 2026, we're back at 85 seconds again. The most dangerous moment in human history. But what exactly happens? Because first, arms control collapsed. The new START Treaty expired in February 5th, 2026, with no replacements. For the first time in decade, there is no agreement that limit the countries like US and Russia from building more nukes. And both countries are building more right now that we are speaking about it. And more countries want nukes. So after the US bombed Iran's nuclear facilities in June 2025, over 400 kilograms of enriched uranium went missing, enough to build several nuclear weapons. And I don't know if they went missing or somebody stole them, but North Korea is testing new intercontinental ballistic missiles and claims to have a nuclear-powered submarine. South Korea and Japan are debating whether to build their own nuclear weapons. Now, new technology is gonna make it even worse. AI is now being embedded in nuclear decisions-making system. The head of US Strategic Command says AI could be used to help decide whether to launch nuclear weapons. Just think about this. Think about it. Algorithm making life of or death decisions for billions of people. The world is getting crazy. And Russia and China are talking about putting nuclear weapon in space. And if that happens, there is no defense, there is no warning, there is no time to react. And the end of all this, nobody's talking. The rise of the autocracy in nuclear-armed countries, US, Russia, China, is making cooperation impossible. Leaders aren't negotiating anymore. They are threatening each other, simply and openly. Trump, Putin, Jinping, all prioritizing power over diplomacy, and that's how we got here to 85 seconds to midnight, the closest we've ever been to the end of the world. Now, let's imagine what's gonna happen if a nuke goes off today. Let's be clear about that. We're talking about a modern nuclear weapon. Isn't like Hiroshima. It's exponentially worse. Here's what happens if a single nuclear bomb hits a major city. First 0.1 seconds, the bomb detonates. The core reaches temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun. Imagine that. First seconds, a fireball forms. Everything within a mile vaporizes instantly. Buildings, cars, people, everybody is gone. Everything is gone. 5 seconds, a shock wave expands at hundreds of miles per hour. Flattens everything for miles. 10 minutes, radioactive fallouts begin. Invisible but surely deadly. Spreads with the wind everywhere. Anyone exposed gets radiation, poisoning, hair fallout, skin blisters, internal organ fail. Days later, survivors face a nightmare. No electricity, no water, no hospitals, bodies everywhere. Months later, cancer rates skyrockets, birth defects, long-term radiation sickness. Just one bomb in one city. Now imagine the US and Russia have 1,550 deployed warheads each. If just 100 nukes are launched, a fraction of what exists, scientists estimate 2 billion people die from starvation caused by nuclear winter. Imagine this. It is not just about the accident or about the weapon, it's about the surviving and everything that is gonna come after. The sun gets blocked by ash and debris, so crops fall, famine spread globally, civilization collapse. And this isn't science fiction, this is the world we live in. So why does this matter to you, to me? Why does this matter to us today? Because nuclear weapons are the only threat that can end human civilization in an afternoon. Imagine, in an afternoon, I mean in just 15 minutes. Not climate change that they want to make us believe, not pandemic, not AI, but it's nuclear war. And we're closer to it than we've been in 79 years. And thinking about it, it's been like 80 years that they created this. It's pretty new. But here's the thing, humans created this problem and humans can solve it. The scientists who built the bomb, Oppenheimer, spent the rest of their lives warning us against it. Oppenheimer lobbied for arms control. He opposite the hydrogen bomb, tried to prevent exactly what's happening right now. He knew that he created what he created and he knew it had to be stopped. So what can we do today? Demand accountability maybe, or when politicians talk about, tactical nukes or limited nuclear war, call it what it is insanity. Support arms control treaties, educate yourself, because the next nuclear war won't start with missiles. Actually, it will start with ignorance, and it will start with people who don't know the history, who don't understand the stakes, who think it could never happen. We are 85 seconds away from midnight and the clock is still ticking. Well, if this opened your eyes and your heart also, why not drop us a comment, please, and tell us did you know we were this close to the end of world? I didn't, and I wanted to make an episode about the nuclear weapon, thinking I will be talking more about, how it was made and the scientific part, but then I found out that's this theory and I got a little bit quite interested and pretty much surprised and shocked. So tell me, guys, what do you feel about it? And please take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye.